Hey everybody, Howard here with my friend Rob Koyfman. Uh, we are going today to talk two things. We're going to talk weed and we're going to walk people, talk cannabis. None of us, we're not on it. We're just talking about it.
You got so excited on the first point. Wow.
I just rubbed some CBD on my Manscapables. And we're going to do that while driving Koyfman. So our users, the people who read here, we really, Rob's the founder of Koyfman, and I love using it every day. It is my dashboard for markets, both on my phone and on my desktop, although I'm more of a desktop person for stocks and markets. And so, Rob, let's go right to the action. You want to start with maybe your blog post? I think my readers don't know that much about marijuana, or maybe they do, God bless, but I know nothing. And so starting from a nothing, you created a blog post, and then we're going to drive Koyfman and see how it all works.
Yeah. So the way this all started is like it's obviously a huge theme. I don't like is marijuana legal in Arizona?
Hmm. Don't know.
But do you notice it?
I haven't had a try.
So it's like in New York, it's not legal, but it's everywhere. Like when I take the subway, like literally half the time somebody's smoking a joint on the subway
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So it's such a huge growth. I mean, it's everywhere. It's also a big driver of a lot of economic development in certain parts of the country. New York just dedicated a $200 million fund to support cannabis industry in the New York State. So that's really interesting. So what I wanted to do is look at the actual stocks. Like, are the stocks interesting? And that's what I did in this report that was published
Got it.
on our blog.
We're going to put together a list for people to follow. We are going to potentially, you'll show people how to do that. And like, assuming we were just interested in marijuana and wanted to organize our thoughts, this is what you started. So you've created a list that you can share and people can copy.
That's right. So this is a dashboard which I called Cannabis Stocks, and it's basically all the publicly traded stocks in the U.S. and Canada. And right here they're sorted by market cap, so you can see the biggest names here like Canopy, Tilray, all these guys.
You can sort by how their stock performed that day. So walk people through how much. Yeah. Okay.
So this is my fundamental view, right? So this is my like I have a bunch of different views. This is my fundamental view where I have a bunch of different layouts here. So I knew these companies were young and they're just getting started.
That's pretty cool. So sorry to interrupt. So
Cool.
that's the mental view. So if you tag that, what other choices could I do it by?
So these are all views that I create. Like for example, I have a performance view here, so then I could see these guys by by let's say like 1 year change, and we could actually see like which stocks went up the most.
Okay, that's just so fascinating. Okay, so and if I copy, I know where I'm getting at. If I copied this dashboard,
Hmm.
do I get all of that?
You get the view which I share. So when I shared it with a certain view, and so you would get that view.
In a perfect world, is this obviously possible? If I could literally see your dashboard with a click. No, that's never going to be possible, or is that something that Koyfman could do?
It's possible. It just we have to figure out like what are the constraints to that. So like, do you want to see that change all the time, or can you control that and stuff like that? So we kind of kept it.
Is there a way that I could tap in and just go from, no, meaning like you've created this. There's not a way for millions of people to see this as well.
They would have to actually click on the link and subscribe to that. Like
But I'm saying, if they subscribe to the link, they now have access to this, right?
yes, once they click on it.
Wow. So, and then how would they store that link to like show it off to their friend?
They would basically copy the dashboard into their own dashboard. So when they click on the link, they'll follow my dashboard.
Blows my mind. This is why, I mean, since we're talking about weed, this is what blows my mind about the product is, the whole thesis is teaching people how to do this and not having to do this 1,000 times over. You've just created work that tens of thousands of people who want to study weed stocks can now look over can actually use this dashboard.
Right, right. So they don't have to start from.
Can they change it? And then they. So the next question is, I know you've thought this through, but just they can't change. They can change it for themselves. They can't change it for you.
So the dashboard they're following, they can't change because it's just
Got
like
it.
a read-only copy. But if they make a copy and save it to their own drive, then they could do whatever they wanted. So for example, they want to like add like 8 more biotech names that we didn't include but are tangentially related, they could do that as well. But
Can
that
you do Bloomberg? I guess this is the only other. Can you? So what other products could you theoretically do this on?
not you can't do this on Bloomberg. So on Bloomberg, it's like
The Bloomberg all because proprietary. No one, that's so interesting. You just created. I mean, this is mind bending. The fact that I mean, for schools, for
Yep,
professors to be able to create these, and then for students to be able to study these.
yep, exactly. So it's like a common
I think
space.
I come work for you. I think I want to come work for you. Are you hiring?
We need a little, so we need a little more money, and then we'll be hiring more people.
Well, let's ask our viewers. People, let's put your Venmo account up there. I always have that prepared. Okay, so I'm sorry I got us sidetracked, but this is the most important part for me. This is what I always wanted to see in a product, right? Like with, there's social following, and then there's data following, and this is revolutionary. Not to be a commercial for Koyfman. This is what I've always wanted for people, is to be able to look over the shoulder of other analysts, research, traders. This is kind of the future. Okay, so now so you built this.
So let's go back to this fundamental view I have.
Yeah.
And basically, when I saw, I didn't know these companies when I started working with this. And basically, I'm just going to expand this. When I started looking at these companies, I looked at all these market caps. There's a lot of, there's a handful of large cap stocks now, or mid cap stocks. And I was like, oh, I wonder what they trade on.
A lot of small caps.
I wonder what they trade on in terms of like how much earnings they make or EBITDA. Like none of these companies earn any money, and that's probably obvious. But the other thing is none of these companies really generate any sales. That was the big takeaway from kind of like my analysis. Is
Sales.
yeah, who needs sales? If you add up all the market cap in the cannabis space and you compare it to the sales, they're trading at about an 85 times price to sales ratio. So
Oh
about
my God. The whole industry is at 85 times sales.
85 times sales, which is insane, right? It's like even in tech land,
All right, let's just ditch this whole research. Weeds out the window. I mean, people are going to get their ass handed to them.
so the way we looked at it
It's
is
be owned by Starbucks and McDonald's, and
so
but
that
let's go through it.
so if
So first thing first, if you're buying weed stocks, so go back to how you figured out it was 85 times sales.
so the well if you go to this dashboard.
Sorry, dude.
No problem. So if you go to this dashboard and
Add up.
what I actually did is we are going to have a function here that adds up a dashboard. It gives you some summary stats.
Yeah. Okay.
So right now I did it by hand, but basically if you add up all the market cap and you add up all the revenue
Mhm.
and you divide the two, you get 85 times sales
For the largest 50
for,
companies.
for everything, but that's skewed by the largest. Oh, sorry, yes, for the largest companies that I have in here, which is
Yeah.
most of
That's
the
what I
market.
meant. Yeah. So, oh my God, people are like, this is such speculation at this point.
So another way to look at this, which is kind of interesting, if you look at an XY scatter plot of the market cap
Hmm.
versus the revenue.
This is why I only own software companies. I know the metrics are ridiculous in software, but subscribers means something more than potential future profits.
Yeah. So this is what it looks like on a market cap to revenue base. So look at these market caps, right? So you have these, you have a company, you have Canopy here, $16 billion, generating about 100 million in revenue. But you have all these multi-billion companies that are generating less than 100 million dollars in revenue.
Mm.
Not,
And
not
what's the total size of the industry? I think if it completely went away tomorrow, no one would notice.
so the market cap, if you add up all this stuff, is about $50 billion of
Yeah,
market cap for.
that's an Ethereum.
Yeah, and so based on estimates of the industry, in terms of like these firms that are estimating the size of the industry. People are estimating that by in 5 years the industry is going to be around
Sure.
35 billion of sales, but it doesn't mean that these are the companies that are going to capture it.
No, and that 35 billion is are we talking black market? I bet you there's already that in the black market.
So that's the thing, is just like that's assuming that the black market goes, I don't know what it's called, the white market, I guess, goes mainstream, which
Well,
hasn't happened.
Logan knows enough people to do 35 billion in sales, like guys like Joe, because he smokes probably half a billion worth a year, him and Tyson. So the Joe Rogan network of people probably understands that this market is massive. It's hard to get a scope. I mean, you put these numbers on it, it's kind of frightening.
Yeah. So in California last year, guess what the growth rate for pot sales was,
Thousand,
on a percentage basis?
thousand
It,
percent.
it was it was down from the year before,
Interesting.
because people are just buying weed on the black market. So actually, legal sales were down year on year, which is insane in California,
That makes no sense. Hang on, they're buying it. Why would they do that?
because the taxes are super high on legal weed. The,
So interesting.
the
Old
difference is so
people,
high.
old people don't want weed yet.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah. So anyway, so this sector is just like, it's definitely going to be much bigger than it is today. There's going to
Sure.
be all these opportunities, but buying these stocks as a play on the sector, it just seems insane to me. It seems like it's all retail investors that are chasing the stock, and it's not going to end well for people who own these things.
That's on a global macro look. I would agree with you that today's scatter plot of winners is much like crypto. There may be one or two in here that work, but they're so fairly valued.
Yeah.
Uh, and but the brands have not come into this world yet, so we are just getting started. Unlike crypto, which has a Bitcoin, I don't think we have a Bitcoin of. I don't think we have a brand at all yet.
Yeah.
And that brand's going to emerge for me when I can just say, like with Google, I say Google's my machine learning play. Meaning I don't want to own a machine learning stock. Google's a machine learning company. And I think in weed, Tilray, Canopy, GWPH, I know some, I've owned some, I've traded some, but there's nothing here that makes me believe when any of these will be a brand. When we look back and see the top 20 brands 5 years from now.
Yeah, and they might be, but they're already priced for that, so there's no upside.
Price for that. I mean, based on what the market size is. And
Right.
that's a stunning stat from California. Okay, next.
Yeah. So the one stock that I think is interesting to play this industry is a stock called Constellation Brands.
Mhm.
It's
The liquor.
Yeah, it's a liquor company. So they own like Corona and Modelo and a bunch of different brands. It's a $32 billion company.
They
They
go back a 5 year. They had a great run until the last 2 years.
Yeah, so if you look at their stock recently, so they've had a really good run.
But
Um,
why do you do it that way versus going up and clicking 5 year?
oh, that's yeah, we could. I mean,
It's just neither. It's just that's
it's
what they're
just
doing.
preference. Yeah, I was just scrolling
Yeah.
out, just
Yeah.
muscle memory. Um, so this stock has recently gone down, and what happened was, if you look at the fundamental graph,
Mhm.
revenues are doing great, but if you look at the net income margin,
Hmm.
their margins started recently declining. Basically, they have a bunch of they're so diversified, and they have a bunch of underperforming brands that
They're going to start shedding. I mean, they're going to have to start shedding.
they already started, so they already announced it. What's great about this management is they're totally focused on the data, so they're not tied to any brand stuff like that. So they already started selling their low end wines, their low end wine brands, and focusing on the high end. But they also have made it clear that they're going to focus on the cannabis industry. They pretty much bought half of Canopy, so they own 38% of Canopy, with another option to buy.
I agree with you. At 32 billion, this thing drops another. Technically, I give a shit, and I don't care about weed, so it's not interesting to me. But yeah, I remember when it was running. I think, listen, there is going to be, if there is a turn, this company will benefit for sure.
Yeah, yeah, and they have the distribution as well, and the branding expertise. So For anyone, and by the way, their valuation, like if you look at their PE, trading at about 18 times, which is sort of like in the middle of the 20-year range or 15-year range.
Okay. So, I mean, that would be your ETF idea for.
Yeah, yeah,
It's kind of like a massive brand. You got
right.
some. It's got booze. It's got weed, and it's got distribution. So, if it's going to work long term, and if Constellation probably, if they shed the right brand, if they manage the brands right, they should be able to be turn that around.
Yep, yep, absolutely.
All right, let's go through some other key features of now. Let's do some key feature stuff you wanted to share.
Yeah, so we're gonna have a pretty interesting update next week.
Woo!
I'll give you a preview. So one thing
This
we're
is
doing.
live. So this isn't live.
This you will not see this on your Koyfman, but this is my machine. So basically, when you pull up a ticker,
Uh-huh.
and you pull up, we combined all these by the way now, and you pull up a graph. What we've done is we've created this quote box, basically give you some information on the company.
So
And you,
instead of going to snapshot,
I'm sorry,
I would see this right away.
you would see this on
All
anything
right.
you choose. So whether it's a graph or financial analysis or fundamentals,
But
this
it
will,
used to be I had to go to the snapshot. So now anytime I type a ticker, I'll
yeah,
click on security snapshot to see this.
exactly. So security snapshot still has still
What
ha
more?
still has like a description and
Yeah.
stuff like that. But
But if I want just basics,
just basics, this is it. And what's cool about this is you can actually customize what you want. So if I want like the 1 year volatility and I want to move that up, that's gonna happen. Or you can move these around like this,
oh
which
my
is
God,
which is pretty cool.
that's so hot, dude.
So that's really good. I think this is going to be really much easier just to see what's going on instead of going a snapshot every second.
Hmm.
So that's one thing, and then the other thing, which is probably our most asked for request, our most requested feature, is dark mode.
Change the name to Howard. Is that the most requested
Yeah,
feature?
Howie Finn, please, Howie
No, just
Finn,
Howie.
just
It's
Howie.
a friendly product.
It's
Friendly and charming. That's what I get of when I think of your product. So it should be Howie. You're more like European, Euro-y, and a little dangerous with the beard. I'm Howie. I'm Manscaped.
you're salt of the earth America.
Well, listen, I think if enough people voted, what would be the term? What will it take for you to change the name?
Um, if enough people, Howie, I don't know, I don't know.
I own the domain.
Oh yeah.
No. Okay. That was a lie.
We'll
I
keep
wasn't
we'll
prepared
keep
for you to say that. Okay, let's go to dark mode because this is cool.
yeah. So dark mode. I have an Apple computer, so actually I like light mode, but a lot of screens
So do I.
can't.
So,
Uh,
so all I hear on the internet, dark mode, this,
I
I want
know,
to shock twits. What? I don't get dark mode.
because you have an
It looks richer because it looks like you're wealthier.
well, no. So it's easier on your eyes, so it's like a darker screen. So if you're working on a computer for a long time, the fact that there's no like white light blasting it and you have this dark light is actually much easier on your eyes. But then the
Hmm.
other thing is if you don't have an Apple computer,
Hmm.
the white screen, like when it looks like this, these blues get lost because the resolution isn't as good. So especially on like a page like this where there's a lot of blues. If you don't have an Apple computer or if you don't have a PC with high resolution screen, this actually looks much worse than it does here. It kind of blurs out,
Hmm.
um, which is the case for a lot of people. So we have dark mode now, which has been a very uh, um, frequently requested feature that we add.
Nice for you. Still free.
Still free. If you want to Venmo us money, feel free to, but not required.
Okay. And all right, next week we'll go dive into some other things. That dashboard stuff. Woo, love it.
Cool.
Okay, man.
Awesome, Howard. Have a good one.
All right.